just watched the movie and just wanted to say, well, what the perspective is like just after watching the movie. Let's just cut to the chase. So it gets to some pretty philosophical ideas in here. And overall, you realize that, well, what's the cause of all the problems to begin with? So we've got this, instead of the Huns, this time they're fighting the Rorans, whose leader is seeking revenge for his father, who was killed by the emperor. At the same time, the Rorans are, their leader is both employing and also heavily dependent on a witch who is simply seeking a world where she can belong, because as a child she was outcast for being a witch, and the more her powers grew, the more that, in her words, she was trampled down. Then of course we have the Imperial Army, and Mulan joins the Imperial Army. For her, she doesn't quite fit in anywhere except in the army, but even there she always has to struggle with hiding her identity, because it's illegal for a woman to be in the army. It's against the rules, yeah. And obviously she doesn't fit in anywhere else. Like, back at home, she's terrible at being womanly, and then also, people don't, or at least people think that she might be a witch, yeah. As for the solutions to the problems, well, I think this has a very inspiring message, which is to be loyal, brave, and true to really soul. Your soul, the one soul, because all of us really are one. And thus, in that sense, soul has no, us, them, he, she, it, they, right? Other than that, so obviously, the typical questions are, does it have the same plot as the original Mulan, the Disney cartoon version? Does it have the same music? Is it true that Mushu is gone? And they changed up the Mulan relationship, love aspect as well. Okay, it's true that the plot is all the details are different. The overall story is the same, but as the movie says right at the very beginning, there are many versions of the story of Mulan, and this is my version. And it is quite a great spin on the original version. We've got more Tai Chi not just Shaolin or Kung Fu. It's got a mix of like actual fighting and CGI. So there's like fighting with spears, fighting with hands, and climbing around and arrows and all that stuff. And but there's also like flying around and walking on walls. And like acrobatics with like arrows and horses and not just from Mulan, from that one soldier that like shot an arrow from behind and after doing like a flip. And it's all very well done. Donnie Yen, he actually knows Kung Fu, and he played Ip Man many times in many movies. And he's very good. And Ip Man is the grandmaster of Yongchun, or Wing Chun Kung Fu. You can tell that all of that part is real Kung Fu. And Liu Yifei, who plays Mulan, she actually has trained Kung Fu ever since she was little. And also, I saw the parts where she does Tai Chi in here. That's is very correct. So they know what they're doing here with respect to the martial arts. All the plot details, like how does Mulan defeat the other army? Well, it's a combination of what she and her comrades said, like, tomorrow we might die, we don't know if we'll live past today, but Mulan says, we will live, and we will live because I will protect you, we will protect each other. And indeed, that's what happens, that's what ends up happening. Not only that, though, it's also kind of getting into spiritual principles and how karma works as well. So, there's the dialogues, especially between Mulan and the witch. The witch says, you need to be true. You're lying, like hiding your actual identity, is it's dissipating or lowering your energy and taking away your karma, chi, whatever. But similarly, Mulan also has dialogue with both the witch and the leader of the Warrens, especially towards the end. And she says that, I know my path. You, on the other hand, are following a coward. And she actually ends up defeating whatever she needs to defeat, and saving, first of all, the emperor and also the entire country. But also, in a sense, saving the witch from the Rorin's side as well, through the concept of simply what you give is what you receive. And using, so weapons backfire, but also good deeds circle back as well. Okay, the music, well, it's not quite true that it has none of the original music. Right at the, very end where, they live happily ever after, or at least, right after they defeated all the problems, then the background music as, the soldiers are walking triumphantly to the palace, up the steps to the emperor, and everyone's celebrating and there's fireworks. That's when they play one song, the main song from the original Mulan. So, yeah. And, yeah, the end, they really save all the music for the end. So there actually is I'd say, just as great song. I think it's also being sung by Christina Aguilera. But what really made the impression in my mind was the part where it goes, "Would you ask yourself, what would a warrior do? I ask myself, inside, am I loyal, brave, and true?" It's also kind of about being loyal and brave and true to, I guess, the meaning of life, or to kind of the cosmic plan or the universe, being in tune. It's more about being in tune with the universe. Yeah, I would say that's if you were to make it a one word or one phrase summary, it would be in tune. So to shorten the loyal, brave, and true. What else? There's no Mushu, but there is a phoenix. The phoenix represents her ancestors, because remember, in the original Mulan, there is a shrine with those lions, statues of lions, and the ancestors, they come out of their, what's it called, graves, and talk about, and watch over, the living. In this movie, it's kind of interesting because there's a statue of a phoenix instead, and instead of ghosts coming out and sending a dragon named Mushu, it's just a phoenix that watches over her. It's always flying above. And then finally, I talked about all the major plot twists. The enemy is different. It's more of a spiritual, emotional type of metaphysical enemy this time. Kind of like a metaphor, more like. And the source of the problems, as well as the solution to the problems in this plot, are different as well. Oh my gosh. You gotta see that scene. Yeah, the battle where Mulan and the Imperial Army are way outnumbered, and then this time it's not just about, we have some bombs that we can shoot and make an avalanche. It's not that simple. It's there are some great stratagems on both sides, and it's a combination of a battle of muscles, but also a battle of, intelligence and also a battle of just being in tune with nature, with the universe, and in tune with yourself, your true self and your soul. And that's all I'm going to say. Yeah, and there's another plot twist, which is that the relationship between Mulan is not between her and her general. It's more like her father kind of looks like the general, and also kind of looks like the emperor. Oh, by the way, the emperor is Jet Li. But it's like there's a fellow soldier who, well, I guess just, kind of has the hots for Mulan, I guess. And it's very interesting to see how Mulan deals with, both sides of the battle. So, she has to stay true to herself, regardless of what the Rorans and what the witch say. She also stays true to herself regardless of what, her fellow soldier, and regardless of what the emperor says as well. And also even what her commander says. She's like, I'm going to return, even though you said that if I return you will execute me, because I need to, tell you that we need to save the emperor. There's a grave danger, and the battle before was just a diversion. Blah 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 blah. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so she says that, so the emperor, in the ending when the emperor invites her to be a soldier in the imperial army, she says that, I came in here, I snuck in here, in darkness, and I need to make amends with my family. So multiple times her fellow soldier says, hey, take my hand and, let's, be together somehow. At least at the very end, she's like, okay, I accept the handshake or whatever, but she knows that she has her path that she's meant to take, and she's taking her path. That's all. I think that she makes the right decisions in all these cases. After making amends with her family, the general comes and, on behalf of the emperor, invites her to become a soldier, and, you can tell that she's thinking about it. I think that what she's thinking at that point is, my way, on my terms. It ends with saying that the woman became a soldier, and the soldier became a leader, and the leader became a legend. That's my review.